Western Spring Television. Ours it is.
All right, it's a beautiful week. Happy New Week and welcome to the show this morning on Morning Spring on Western Spring Television. My name is Emmanuel Ujadigele. Thank you so much for joining us on this show this morning. And thank you for starting your week with us. Monday, 24th of April, 2023. Some of these discussions surrounding the elections are gradually going down, because, of course, supplementary elections are being conducted. And now it's just left for the courts to resume proceedings on some of these matters. Well, that's where we start the show this morning. You can follow the conversation on all our social media handles: Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and of course, check us out on YouTube, where you can subscribe to us and follow live, and also catch up with all episodes of the other program. We're reaching you live from Star Times channel 190 on the DTT platform. Thank you for joining us this morning.
Yeah, thanks for joining us on the Morning Spring on Western Spring Television. It's still the holidays of the Eid al-Fitr, and we're still wishing all our Muslim faithfuls a Ramadan Kareem, and we thank you. We appreciate that you're joining us this morning again. Hope that you can enjoy today's episode of the show. I'm Temitakwe Ajijalaluola. Thanks for joining.
Well, thank you for joining. I hope you had a wonderful weekend. I forgot to mention that our Muslim brothers and sisters were, celebrating the Eid al-Fitr festival. And of course, it was a lot of merriment, a lot of happiness and joy, time to spend time with family, time to, go to fun-seeking places and enjoy yourselves. But then that's what has been happening over the weekend. We'll take a break now. When we come back, we'll bring you the papers this morning to show you what's on the faces of the national dailies.
Stay with us.
Well, welcome back to the show, and of course, it's time to start with the papers for you. We'll begin with the Punch this morning. Banner headline is about the conflict in Northern Africa. Sudan conflict. Government seeks Egypt support to rescue 5,500 Nigerians by road. That's on page 2 of the Punch newspaper. Federal government warns as Nigerian student pay $100 for dangerous road. We are waiting for Sudanese government to provide safe corridor for evacuation, says minister. And you can see pictures there of Sudanese refugees and supporters protesting the ongoing civil war between the two factions at the Dam Square, as well as French and other nationalities on arrival at French military base in Djibouti during the evacuation of around 100 people from Sudan on the first French flight of the war-hit country on Sunday. So many things happening in Sudan, but the most important one at the moment concerning Nigeria is that the static government is seeking to collaborate with the Egyptian government to rescue 5,500 Nigerians by road. A lot of persons have been faulting the federal government's position that it's difficult to rescue the nationals because other countries, Saudi Arabia, Egypt, France, even the US and UK have already begun evacuating their own nationals. So you begin to ask, how have they been doing it? If there's a picture there now of French nationals arriving in Djibouti after being evacuated. So you wonder why the Nigerian government is yet to do the same.
Well, actually, sometime around last week, even the US was having problems with evacuation because part of the airport was also, besieged by the conflict in Sudan. But if they've been able to evacuate, I don't see why Nigeria should not ask them how they've been able to, get it done and then do the same, And the fact that Nigerians are having to pay for this evacuation process, even by road, and it's tagged dangerous, is another cause for concern for me. I don't know why they should have to pay at all.
The federal government is warning against it. It seems to me like some persons are trying to take advantage.
Yes, of their situation. Yes, it's a very terrible one. You're responsible for them no matter what, whether they're in Nigeria or outside. You still have full responsibility of Nigerians' welfare and safety. The federal government should know that, and they should do the needful. These people should not be endangered further. You're trying to evacuate them from a very dangerous port, and then you're taking them through another danger zone. It's not the right way to go. Federal government should do something very quickly to make sure that the lives of these people are not further endangered.
So we also hope that the federal government can find a way to stop whoever is, pushing that particular thing, asking people to pay for dangerous road in port. And we're waiting for Sudanese government to provide safe corridor. I hope that can be provided as soon as possible. At the bottom strip of the Punch newspaper, Tinubu may return today to meet APC NWC. Well, the APC has dissolved its presidential campaign council. All has been said and done, I'm sure. That's why it's been dissolved. Now, the president-elect, Bola Ahmed Tinubu, has been out of the country for quite some time, about a month now, and sources close to him saying that he's gone to rest after a taxing a campaign period and election process. He needed to take some time out to rest and refresh. But now there are stories, there are reports that he may be returning today and will be meeting with the National Working Committee of the APC. Remember that National Working Committee is also being ravaged by some sort of controversy between the national vice chairman and the secretary of the party. Still at the bottom strip on page 4, the red story: 2 children fire, 5 others burns to death in Lagos-Ibadan highway crash. 2 children, 5 others burns to death in Lagos-Ibadan highway crash. I mean, I look forward to a day where there will be no red story on the Punch paper. I look forward to
any of the papers at all.
It's sad. 2 children and 5 others. The recent increase in accidents on that axis is becoming worrisome. And you have to look at what's going on and find solution to it.
And then it's also important to note that some of these accidents in court need not have been as grievous as they are, as they have been, as we've been seeing them on the faces of the paper. But I don't know how our rapid response teams are, responding to some of these incidents. We need to work on that particular, facility, the ambulance, the fire service, in whatever case it is. It's very important. The lives of people are very precious. And if we're having 5 people, dying, it's really bad, really. And this doesn't mean that tomorrow we won't see another sad story of people's deaths, either through accidents or through, banditry and all. The federal government should please do the needful, and state governments as well.
But on pages 4 and 5, Lagos state government blames developers as another 3-story building collapses.
Yes, and that's another thing involving Lagos. The last collapse was also in Lagos. Now we're having another one, this time around a 3-story building. We still ask the questions. Who's approving all of these buildings? What are the level of supervision given to these buildings? If we're having, I thought they even said that, buildings, building contracts have been suspended for a while. And even if they were, it means that this one, was already underway before that period. And it means that it was also substandard in itself. And that means it's not enough to suspend all of this. It's important to have a very, swift check through all of these buildings that are being undergone at the moment to determine the safety level of the buildings, so as not to further endanger the lives of people.
We hope that the government rises to the situation and curbs the spate of building collapses.
And prosecute when necessary.
Above the nameplate, on page 21, Nigeria's indebtedness to World Bank now 6 trillion naira. 6 trillion naira. Nigeria's indebtedness to the World Bank now 6 trillion naira. But eventually the debt will be paid. But how long? How? That's going to be the question. Is going to be the poser to many Nigerians. On page 23, Rep. Summon Daewoo Saipem over workers' pension as the NLNG train 7. But on page 29, the man that has been in the news for some time now, police launched manhunt for fleeing at Damara Wreck. Over the weekend, a picture surfaced of the man being escorted to a private jet by some security agents who were on uniform, and people were trying, Nigerians on Twitter were trying to trace the ownership of the jet by its number, but its registration number, but I don't think anybody has been able to come to a conclusive position on that matter. Now the police has launched a manhunt. The man was summoned to Abuja. It means he never went to Abuja, and now he's being sought after. My
question is, why hasn't he been taken into custody? Why was he free? Why was he free? If it were to be an ordinary Nigerian, somebody else on the streets doesn't have any, public post to his name, no title, nothing, no affiliations with the upper, authorities or whatever, he would have been in custody. That very much is sure. And now you're having a manhunt for, in court, a fleeing wreck. I don't know, really. He's supposed to have been in custody.
Wow. The way things work sometimes will make you wonder what's going on in this world. But we hope that the fleeing at Damara Wreck is
not flee.
The fleeing at Damara Wreck is apprehended and made to pay for his crimes and made to answer for the things that he's done. But that's all on the Punch newspaper this morning.
Right, moving on from the Punch to the Nation newspaper this morning. The headline says, Nigerian students lament ordeal in crisis-torn Sudan. Nigerian students lament ordeal in crisis-torn Sudan. And we have the riders. It's dangerous to evacuate our 5,500 citizens without clearance, says federal government. In US, UK, France, Russia move out nationals. That's 4 other countries have moved out their nationals. And we are having some sort of ordeal, in rescuing our own 5,500 people. Well, it's a lot. That's a very huge number. 5,500 people. Very important to bring them home safely and be reunited with their families. Hope the federal government can, move swiftly in that regard.
Yes.
There's a quote there. It was a harrowing and terrifying experience. What we saw on the way was frightening. And it seems that probably the evacuation process has even begun already. But then, just above that story, 7 burnt to death in Lagos-Ibadan road crash, and that is on page 7. We've been talking about the safety of our roads, the importance of, a rapid response to all of these situations. And on page 6, or page 5 still, Tinubu arrives today, and as the Punch puts it, might be meeting with the ABC National Working Committee. But then to the bottom of that story, man stabs neighbor to death over parking space. Man stabs neighbor to death over parking space. I think it's important that we reiterate the need for people to be, very temperate, in the way they react to things. I mean, parking spaces is a very trivial issue. They shouldn't have caused any, sad event like this. And people need to, be very, very more accommodating. They need to, be more calm in reacting to things. But we hope that we can move past all of this, unhappy situations. But on page 7, Saudi-bound man held with cocaine. Saudi-bound man held with cocaine.
Wow. I saw that. I saw the statement from Femi Babafemi yesterday. as the NDLEA spokesperson. I also saw the videos on the NDLEA handle on Twitter, and you continue to wonder the kind of craftiness that goes into how these people package the drugs and how they are nabbed. You must give kudos to the NDLEA. We may not rule out the fact that they probably have tip-offs rather. And even if you are tipped off, you can still choose not to
look
act.
the other way.
know.
Yes,
They've been up and doing, and it's sending a signal. I know it's not going to stop people. They still want to try their luck. Some of them have been brainwashed and told, don't worry, today's your lucky day, and all of that. And maybe their unlucky day, but kudos to the NDLEA for the very good job.
Yes. Well, moving from that story to just below the nameplate, 40% pay rise excites federal workers. 40% pay rise excites federal workers. Remember, Emmanuel, some weeks ago, about 2 weeks ago now, we read on one of the faces of the papers that come April ending, the federal government may start to pay the 40% pay rise, promised to the federal workers. We hope that would, there has already caused excitement in the hearts of the federal workers. We hope that the federal government would do right by them by keeping to their promise. But then beside that story, 3 ways out of debt crisis by Rwanda. If you want to know that explainer, please read that particular story. But above the nameplate, please begin probe of suspended Adama Warek. Please begin probe of suspended Adama Warek.
You probe someone who is on the run.
Exactly. I don't know. That's on page 6. Well, maybe the nation is trying to, keep that under wraps. But the Punch newspaper has escalated the situation. Let's see what happens.
The man is simply nowhere to be found. There are no two ways about it. Nobody has seen him. Nobody knows whose private jet he flew on. Nobody knows who the security men that were escorting him were. Everybody just knows.
And it still speaks to what we've been talking about, even on the day he made that, very, extreme blunder. There were policemen or members of whatever force around him, and now you also see that some forcemen were also around him, seen with him, escorting him. Yes, so I really don't know what to say to that, but it's the same police that is beginning probe of a man that is said to be fleeing and having a manhunt. But let's see what happens in the coming days. We'll get to know more of the story. Because you can't keep it under wraps forever.
Well, let's hope they can't.
Well, on page 26, our expectations from Tinubu by Niger Delta leaders. Well, to know more of what the Niger Delta leaders are expecting from the president-elect, you see that on page 26 of the Nation newspaper. On page 6, Nnamani asks Obi to discontinue petition. Nnamani asks Obi to discontinue petition. Same Nnamani that has been on a very warring page with Obi is asking him to discontinue petition. Well,
it's just politicking at this point, I suppose. But he got the heat yesterday after saying, now I saw it on Twitter. And Obi supporters were not having it. They really came for him, came at him. And he was forced to retreat. He didn't retract the statement, but he just reduced the way he was going about in social media. Yes, because the heat was becoming too much for him. I think that's expected. They should have seen it coming. Rather, should have seen it coming that would happen, because he was just not in the right place to tell somebody, that you've been against to discontinue petitions. On what grounds would that be? But then, like you said, politicking and all the other tricks and games. But on page 7, another story building collapses in Lagos. Another story building collapses in Lagos. It's very sad that while we are still, in the heat of one, another has happened. We hope that the state government would see these as
a very, very good reason to move and to act, fast, rather than, keeping things, under wraps, or being, taking it with levity.
Well,
but then,
let's hope that, like you said, that it comes out.
yes. But that's all we have on Nation newspaper.
Let's check the Guardian newspaper this morning, filled with business stories, to make us understand what's going on in the business sector. On the page 6 is where the banner headline rests, says rising poverty cost dampen eSIM adoption, impact on Nigeria's card production. On page 6, you can see the types of SIM cards there: the mini SIM, the micro SIM, the nano SIM, and the eSIM. All there on the pages of on the page 6 of the Guardian newspaper. That's where you can get more on that story and how the production of cards in Nigeria has been dampened by a number of factors, including rising poverty. And on page 21, property page 21, how unregulated estate agencies firms engage in multi-million naira scam. Unregulated estate agencies firms engage in multi-million naira scam. One of the lawyers for the EFCC recently said that the real estate industry, real estate business, is sometimes a front for fraud and for scams. And this article may be lending credence to that. Well, below it is the story we've been tracking. Another Lagos building collapses 24 hours after Sanwo-Olu's visit to Banana Island site. Very disheartening there. At the bottom strip, Matawale reinstates Emir suspended for turbaning bandits kingpin. Bello Matawale there doing that reinstatement, causing some attention, both positive and negative, to himself. He was quite controversial. Someone was suspended for giving the chieftaincy title to, or turbaning in this case now, to a notorious kingpin, someone who is a bandit. That monarch was suspended, the emir was suspended, but Governor Bello Matawale has reinstated him, and you can only ask why. You can only wonder why. Sudan, federal government negotiates safe exit for stranded Nigerians, as on page 6. And Ayetoro, Ondo communities slipping into Atlantic Ocean. Seen videos of Ayetoro in Ondo State, and they are scary. Entire houses submerged under the water, entire streets submerged under the water, and if care is not taken, we might be reminded of Atlantis, the lost city that was overtaken by water and buried underwater forever. We do not want that to happen to this community in Ondo State, and we hope that the government can take control and take charge anytime soon. That's all on the Guardian newspaper.
Very quickly to the Daily Trust newspaper. The headline says, Sudan crisis. Federal government begins evacuation of stranded Nigerians tomorrow. Federal government begins evacuation of stranded Nigerians tomorrow. 5,500 waiting for government action. Students move to Ethiopia, cry for rescue. Airlines bypass airspace. Airlines bypass airspace.
Those are some of the challenges they're having there. Rockets and bombs flying, missiles flying up and down, and it truly may be difficult to rescue your citizens. In the face of this raging battle between both factions. We just hope that the government can come to a very positive negotiation and try to evacuate our brothers and sisters without any casualty.
All right, from that story we move to another story. Hunger, sickness hits Niger IDPs camp. Hunger, sickness hit Niger IDP camps, supposed to be. Then on page 5, man killed trying to settle quarrel over urinating point. Man killed trying to settle quarrel over urinating point. That's another saddening story.
Another life snuffed out
Yes.
for something that could be dialogued
Yes.
over.
And he was actually trying to mediate between some warring parties, and he lost his life to that. It's very bad. Well, I'll follow Yar'Adua's steps to actualize Katsina people's mandate, says Rada. Well, above that, those stories still just below the nameplate. Tinubu returns today amid National Assembly leadership contest. Tinubu returns today amid National Assembly leadership contest. As Buhari's tenure ends, auto policy remains elusive. That's another story that is on page 19 of the Daily Trust. Matawale reinstates Emir suspended for turbaning bandits leader. That's on page. I can't see the page.
Well, that conversation is going to continue for quite a long time. You know, no, people are not going to forget it anytime soon.
No.
People are not going to forget it anytime soon. All right, so let's that's where we leave the papers this morning. That's where we've taken the Guardian, Daily Trust, and the Punch, and of course also the papers and the Nation for you this morning. I will come back from this break. We'll have our guests ready to discuss with us our topic for today. Just stay with us.
Arrested, affected, sound, found. What do we see? What do we say? Flowing from a spring. A fact A to Z. Check and confirm. Ever is pounding current events. Traveling down from the business gist to the globally arising happenings, to the sports news, to the bittersweet infos. Guided transmission, even diffusion, vast and fast, detailed facts are fled. Within seconds, nuggets of words that flew across borders are fired. Stories short and long, wrapped in bundles of words, broken and dissected as it is, except misheard. This is the news as it is.
Here are 5 amazing fun facts I bet you never knew about Christianity.
Number 1, there are over 2.4 billion Christians worldwide.
Amazing fun fact number 2. The Bible is one of the best-selling books of all time, with more than 100 million copies sold every year.
Most Christians believe in heaven and hell.
The Bible is the most translated book in the world, with more than 3,000 languages.
Amazing fun fact number 5. Most Christians throw science out of the window without realizing that most scientists are Christians. Hello, I am Pastor Steve Akinwumi.
And I am Dr. Adeoye Oyewole.
Join us as we highlight and discuss day-to-day issues pertaining to the day-to-day living of every Christian.
Issues in Christendom shows every Sunday on Western Spring Television, channel 190, only on StarTimes.
According to the words of Michael Forbes, one who never asks questions either knows everything or nothing. Watch me as I ask the questions you think no one wants to answer. Even questions it appears no one has got the guts to ask. My name is Femi Adefila and I've got the gut. Let's ask the pertinent questions and watch as we get answers.
All right, welcome back to the show, Morning Spring on Western Spring Television. It's good to have you join us once again. If you're just joining, this is where we bring to you conversations around socio-political and socio-economic issues, socio-cultural issues, to also bring you newspaper analysis and, of course, tell you what is trending later on in the show. But this morning, we're joined live in the studio by Familiar Face as a Senior Special Advisor, Assistant to Governor Ademola Adeleke of Osun State. He's also Director of Media of the People's Democratic Party in Osun State. Good morning, Mr. Adeleke.
Good morning. The Raven,
the
USDB family. It's been a while.
Yes.
Good morning.
Good morning. All right, welcome to the show this morning. First, let's ask what is happening within your party at the moment. Is all well in your party?
Simply put, it is all is well. By the grace of God, life is in stages. There will be a period of pursuit of success, and there will be another period of trying to struggle for the sustenance of that success. Perhaps that is what we have at play now. In politics, it is all stages, stage by stage. We have people who have won, who have achieved their ambition, so to say. We have people who, even after achieving their ambition, they are also trying to go a step further to achieve even more ambition. We also have people that are looking for one thing or the other in the party. So, like I used to say, political party is not a religious arena, church or mosque or what have you, or the traditional religious people where the chief priest or the imam or the pastor will just ask member to shout hallelujah or do takbir, Allahu Akbar, as a form of demanding for decorum amongst the congregants. In this wise, politics is not like that. Politics is all about agitations, at times confrontation, towards an end. So it is normal. You don't expect absolute decorum in a political setup. There's just no way you can achieve it at any point in time, because people will always have one thing or the other to look up to, and where you have two or more people agitating or struggling to achieve this or that, there is bound to be a bit of friction here and there, which onlookers will think, oh, the party is in chaos or whatever. You know, it is all normal. It is all part of ingredient of politics in democracy. Democracy is not a government of the gun or of a supremo somewhere dishing out orders to subordinate. It's a government of the people where the people have to make a choice, and at whatever capacity in this wise. So, Mr. Emmanuel, to answer your question, for us, all is well with our party, the PDP, that great party, the ruling party in the Osun State.
Okay, so now let's get down to what is really what's been in the news recently, and that's the position of the speakership in the 8th Assembly, the coming assembly. Now, the 25 members from your party, members-elect, who have won the election, and the jostling has already begun for principal offices to be held. One of them is the position of the speaker. Now, there are reports that this issue is causing some sort of rancor within your party. As the party even sat down to make any decisions on who is getting what?
Yeah, thank you very much. This just further buttresses my earlier position that in politics you don't expect absolute decorum. What you are trying to postulate is that, or insinuate, is that there are people jostling for one principal office or the other in the coming 8th Assembly of the Osun State Parliament. I want to say again that it is normal. It is normal. Where you have 2-3 people interested in a single position, there will be insinuations, what will appear like a rancor here and there, and in the public space. So it doesn't call for any kind of worry. For us as a party, we have we're a party governed by the law, especially by the constitution of our nation, Nigeria. Having won as members of Osun State House of Assembly, the onus is, or the burden is on those members to elect, so to say, whoever leads them at this particular time. It is not, yes, the party can just call them as leaders of the party to guide them, to advise them in this instance. It is not for us to, we cannot bomb into the house and say this is who you must elect as your speaker, the deputy speaker, the majority leader, and another principal officers. in this case, yes, there are already people making their ambitions known to fight for this office, but all good. All good. For us, we will follow the laws of the land to the letter. I'm not a lawyer, but we are product of this society. We are product of establishment of Nigeria. We have had arguments. We have seen instances that when a house of this nature is about to be constituted, the members, as it were, are obligated to elect amongst themselves, and which is the Constitution of Nigeria is the grand norm of all rules or other subsidiaries law or what have you. And I've had legal practitioners, legal minds all over the country argue this consistently, that Section 92(1), if I'm correct, stipulates that a speaker, for instance, that a speaker of the House shall be elected. We have been told that wherever the law stipulates that shall, that is, it is mandatory. That a speaker shall be elected by members of the House amongst themselves, which means it is left to them. It is their exclusive obligation. It is not even done to anyone. So, and amongst themselves appears to me as a person that it is not subject to any other caveat or any other professors of the law. It is just like choosing a class captain. It's just who will feel has the courage, the charisma. Now putting party peculiarities into consideration, perhaps the zonings here and there, who have gotten what, who have not gotten this or that. How do we satisfy all interest in the state? How do we give the establishment in the state, all establishment, a sense of belonging? Maybe that is the only thing perhaps that is also limited to the considerations of these members, and not that perhaps the governor, now the leader of the party or the leader of the state, will just go to the House of Assembly and say, oh, you, this, honorable this and that, you are going to be the speaker,
yes,
or what?
Well,
no.
It's interesting that you should mention that, because I was going to come to that. Now, there are reports on the streets that the governor is favoring member-elect Wale Egbedun for the position of the speaker. In fact, some persons have called attention to the fact that the governor did personally campaign, for Wale Egbedun, who emerged as winner of his own election. Now, this has caused some issues. Two of the aggrieved members-elect, Akiyode Oyewusi of Ife North constituency and Bamidele Lawal Osogbo constituency, have approached an Osun State High Court on the matter. They are arguing that the standing rules of the Assembly, Rule 4A, says a member-elect addressing the clerk shall propose a ranking member-elect from the majority party, that such member-elects do take the chair of the House as Speaker of the House of Assembly, provided such a nomination shall be seconded by another member-elect. Wale Egbedun is a first-timer in the House, as it were now. And according to the standing rules of the Assembly, there are ranking members. I'll give you their names now. Ranking members are those who are returning to the House of Assembly. There are 5 of them: Olaide Ajibola Olorunda, Adewumi Koforo North, Adeyemi Adewumi Obokun State constituency, Tajuddin Adeyemi Ifelodun, and current Deputy Speaker, who is not even in the equation, Femi Popola. Now, from what you've said, you've quoted the Constitution. Do we look at the standing rules of the House or the Constitution? Is the governor favoring Wale Egbedun to become Speaker?
Well, let me say from the point of law again that the standing rule you quoted or you mentioned, as far as I know, that it cannot override the grand norm, the constitution of our country. And that is where I started from. I didn't even know you were going to ask this kind of question. For us, at this time, we will allow the law to take its course. We have 26 members as members of House of Assembly. 21 of them, even according to what you just read to me now, are first-timers. And what do you now have? If the 5, and including the only member, the only APC member amongst them, because politics is all about engagement, lobbying, or consultation, or whatever. Do you know that even that only member can also it's also entitled to fight for that position. It's not there's no law, especially the Constitution of Nigeria, banning him from fighting for the speakership position. But it's anything like that looks like convention, that looks like perhaps a culture, does not mean that the law should be set aside.
But the standing rules of the assembly are the rules that guide the assembly. Those are the rules that the assembly employs.
That is the standing rule. If I can use this word, standing rule of the assembly is just an arrangement of convenience. Perhaps to have peace, perhaps for their own, as we are here, yes, this place is very beautiful, but cold. I can say as your guest, I'm allergic to this air conditioner kind of arrangement, and you say that is your own rule. The AC must be on. Mr. Bamiji, there's nothing we can do. It is our rule. But the law of the land stipulates that I have a right to life. Must I now come here for you to kill me just because it is your rule? That is your own rule. But my life is my life according to the law, not just out of pity. You understand this? It is whatever rule the House has manufactured in the past. It does not erase the superiority of the Constitution of Nigeria. In this wise, the Constitution, while emphasizing that a speaker shall be elected, does not confer superiority or does not emphasize seniority on anyone.
So are you saying this because, you've not answered my question, are you saying this because the governor is interested in Wale Egbedu becoming the speaker? Is that what it is? Is that what is that the line your party is towing to?
Mr. Emmanuel, I don't know what you are saying. For us, the governor is one. Is the leader of our party. And if it is even true that he's interested in one person, Wale Egbedu or whoever, his right must not be taken away just because he's the governor. If the other time he was asked to vote in the general election, he had to vote. He has also options of voting for Oyetola, but he decided to vote for himself. That means he has the right to vote for himself. We are all political animals. He can be interested in anyone. But the ultimate in this case is that the choice of the Speaker of the 8th Assembly of Osun State is down to the members of the House as elected. That is nobody can erase that. The governor will not even, if he might not even be there. If he gets to that building, to that chamber in June perhaps just like a special guest or a mere observer. The members will still have to elect their own member. And don't forget too, in this case, maybe the governor might just be just in his support, as insinuated. In our party, we are a party premise or placed on tripod of equity, fairness, and justice. Like you read out, Honorable Koforola, for instance, is from the same local government, the same state constituency, so to say, with the governor. Are we still going to make him the Speaker of the House just because it's a returnee or it's a second timer? That is not going to bring peace and tranquility in the party, or even amongst the stakeholders in the state. Yes, we have other considerations somewhere or elsewhere. We have SSG already in the saddle. We have Chief of Staff in the saddle. All right. We have other appointees also jostling for this or the other. So the governor or the party can peep into the future and see what really will serve our party right, or will serve the right purpose of equity and justice. We have towns or constituencies who are lucky enough, as things are presently, to have a senator, for instance, and even a rep member in the same constituency. Are we still going to give such constituency the speakership of the House just because perhaps the member elect there is a returnee? Well, so these are factors that will dictate, that will determine some of these choices. So the governor, to me, has his right to support whoever.
Okay, well, so there are also reports that your party has zoned the speakership of the 8th Assembly to the Osun Central Senatorial District because the governor is from the west and the deputy is from the east, and all of those permutations. Now, is that a correct assertion? Has the party made any such move?
Yeah, it might not be formal. Some of these things I say here is my own opinion. And I need that to be on record. We have not come out officially as a party to say that this is our zoning formula as a party or as the mouthpiece of the party. If that is the situation, that buttresses my point, my earlier points, that we are a party that puts everyone into consideration. You will not begin to speak big grammar, statistics, or what have you, to deceive people. The governor, if he is to be seen as that powerful, then he can choose his brother from Eden North and make him the speaker. Perhaps because we need to be loyal according to the convention of our party. As the leader of our party, we need to be loyal to him, and we have no other choice. We can say, okay, my SSG is from Osogbo, why not have speaker there as well? Because Osogbo is the state capital. Yes, the governor can make a choice. The person being insinuated as having the support of the governor is from a far distance. From
Odo State
Odo, the state constituency, for God's sake. It's not, they are not related by blood or what have you. But the governor might have looked into how can we bring everybody together. Governance is not a one-man show. It's not a one-man business. You have to give people, that is one of the pillars or essence of democracy. Let people join hands together. When you see the governor doing this or that, it is not just from him alone. People come together. And if if people now have no sense of justice or accommodation or belonging, how would they justifiably surround the governor or support the governor to move the state forward?
Okay, if we're to, like you said, is your personal opinion now, if we were to tally with that, and say that the party has zoned this speakership to the Osun Central Senatorial District. That leaves just 2 persons in the race: Olaide Ajibola of Oloronda State Constituency and Tajuddin Adeyemi of Ifelodun. Now, this will be in line with the standing rules. And those 2 members I mentioned earlier.
You are mentioning Osun Central.
I'm sorry, Ifelodun, Osun Central.
Yes, we have like...
No, ranking members now, or something, in line with the standing rules. Those who are returning.
These standing rules you are...
No, I'm going somewhere. Going somewhere. Now, in line with the standing rules, we have Olaide Ajibola, Oloronda, and Tajuddin Adeyemi just in the race, the 2 of them. Femi Popola is of the minority and may not have a shot. But the 2 persons from Ife North and Osogbo are saying that there is nothing wrong for a first-timer to become Speaker of the House of Assembly. Now, in the event that this matter escalates and goes to the court and all of that, do you see this creating bad blood between the 25 of them in the House?
Let us even give kudos and clap for our members who are making this issue of speaker, the speakership of a thing, a topical issue in the state. It shows to me that we are not going to have a docile, a rubber stamp state House of Assembly in this case. If people can be bold enough, without even informing the leader of the party or the governor, to go to court.
So your party was not aware of that suit?
It is their own right. And what did they do? Don't make a mistake about it. They are not, that suit, as it appeared to me, like I said, I'm not a lawyer, it's not to, they are only seeking for proper interpretation of the rule you are talking about. Either the rule is the mammon, or the constitution is the God, as the case may be. In this wise, which one should we serve? Which one should take the master's seat in this wise, as according to the laws of our nation? That is what these members have gone to court to help them interpret, so that they will not get in there into the house and they start on a table of confusion. They want the court to interpret whether this section, this rule, mind you, to the best of my knowledge, that rule has not been enacted, formally enacted as law. It is just arrangement of convenience, like I said, within the house. It is not an enacted law assented to by any known chief executive of the state, which is the governor.
So does that make it non-binding?
It is absolutely, and I'm not minding my word this time, absolutely not binding in this subject matter. It is just as we are in this studio. It is just an arrangement like I postulated the other time, or that I illustrated the other time. It is just an arrangement of convenience for ourselves. Here, it is not as if it is the intendment of the law. No, it is not. For me, I want to thank those members who feel they should get this sorted once and for all before they get into the house through the court of law. Let the law interpret it, and we will all see whether the rule is now the Egbon over the constitution or vice versa. That is what they are seeking. It's not as if they went to court to compel the system or to compel the house to declare them as the only fit or the only normal constituency to become to have the speaker the speakership thing. No, that is not the intendment of their suit.
All right, so we'll go on a very quick break. Now, when we come back, we'll be joined by another guest via Zoom who would also be talking about this. But I'd like to I'd like to hold you to account on the fact that you said some of these things are your personal positions. I also like to get the party's position as the spokesperson of the party. So we'll take a break now. We've been talking to Mr. Oladele Bamiji, who is an SSA to the governor of Osun State and also the media director of the People's Democratic Party. We'll take a break now. I'm bringing our other guest.
Arrested, affected, sound, found. What do we see? What do we say? Flowing from a spring. A fact A to Z. Check and confirm. Ever is pounding current events. Traveling down from the business gist to the globally arising happenings, to the sports news, to the bittersweet infos. Guided transmission, even diffusion, vast and fast, detailed facts are fled. Within seconds, nuggets of words that flew across borders are fired. Stories short and long, wrapped in bundles of words, broken and dissected as it is, except misheard. This is the news as it is.
Here are 5 amazing fun facts I bet you never knew about Christianity.
Number 1, there are over 2.4 billion Christians worldwide.
Amazing fun fact number 2. The Bible is one of the best-selling books of all time, with more than 100 million copies sold every year.
Most Christians believe in heaven and hell.
The Bible is the most translated book in the world, with more than 3,000 languages.
Amazing fun fact number 5. Most Christians throw science out of the window.
All right, welcome back to the show. It's 2 Morning Spring on Western Spring Television. We're reaching you live from StarTimes channel 190 on the DTT platform, but you can follow the conversation live on all our social media handles, Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, and also on YouTube at Western Spring Television. We've been chatting with the media director of the PDP in Osun State, but he's also senior special assistant to Governor Ademola Adeleke. We're now joined live on the line by Comrade Wahid Saka, who is a rights activist and a political commentator. Good morning, Mr. Saka. Thank you for joining us.
Good morning, sir. Good morning in the studio. And to my brother and friend, Honorable Bamiji, I greet you.
How are you, sir? It's been a while.
Oh, yeah, I'm very, very well. Fine, thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, so let me take it back from the both of you now catching up. So let's get to what we've been talking about now. Mr. Saka, I'm sure you've been hearing about this the speakership issue concerning the 8th Assembly that will be inaugurated in June. Now, there seems to be some sort of misunderstanding of the law, or some variance between the standing rules of the Assembly and what the Constitution says. What is your position on that regarding the eligibility of some persons to stand and contest for the position of speakership?
Well, first and foremost, let me say this. There is no contradiction between the Constitution of Federal Republic and the House rule of any House of Assembly or even the Senate or House of Rep. The rule of the House is a complementary, it's like a complementary of the law of the land. And the controversial section of our House rule of the House of Assembly, Section 4A of Part 3 of the House of Assembly rule. I need to state it here so that people will understand the lacuna those who went to court want to create for the State House of Assembly. A member, according to that section of the law, a member elect addressing the clerk shall propose a ranking member in quote, a ranking member elect from the majority party. Please underline the majority party too. That such member elect do take the chair of the House as the Speaker of House of Assembly, provided another member elect seconded the nomination. That is the law. Why I said you should underline the ranking member is because the controversial issue is about the ranking member. But when they went to court, they are not seeking the interpretation of the law, like my friend inside your studio said. They are seeking to set aside the rule of the House. Two different things. They are seeking to set aside the rule of the House, which means they are not only setting aside the ranking membership that is eligible to take the chair of the House. They inadvertently setting aside the majority party involved in that section of the law, because there is no way you can set aside that law and still retain the majority party as the head of the House. They may be very, very happy today that 25 won in the House, but in the future there will be a time that it will not be like that. So setting aside that rule will create a major lacuna. And let me say this, that we copy the United States House of Assembly style of ranking in the Assembly. And by that copy, the intention of those who coined that rule was to have a congressional stability, whereby any newcomer with backload, with a lot of money or anything to induce the House will not come out and emerge as the leader of the House, because they consider the ranking member as the wise man of the House because of their experience.
Okay.
All right, Mr.
Saka. Let me quickly say this, that section of our law in the House of Assembly is a rank zeros one for the Senate Order 2-3 of the Senate of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, and House of Representative Order 3-2 of the same House. So it's a structural thing from up to bottom.
All right, Mr. Saka, Mr. Bamiji's stand is that that rule was an arrangement of convenience. Do you oppose that? Do you think that's not true?
That has never been an arrangement of convenience. I understand that there will be a time people will challenge things, but he talk about fundamental rights. And this is not a violation of fundamental rights in whatever perspective.
Okay, so let me pause you there. Yeah. Section 92, right. Section 92(1) of the 1999 Constitution simply states that there shall be a Speaker and a Deputy Speaker of the House of Assembly who shall be elected by members of the House from amongst themselves. Now, according to Mr. Bamiji, that provision does not, make any concession for either ranking or first timer, and he said saying that in the event of an inconsistency between two sets of constitution, that of the Federal Republic prevails. And what the Federal Republic says, the Constitution of Nigeria as itself says, simply puts that there should be a speaker and a deputy speaker. It doesn't give concession for a ranking of first timer.
And I will tell you, there is no law that stands alone. Look at section 98, subsection 3 of the same Constitution of Federal Republic of Nigeria. It expressly recognizes the House rule. Go and look at that section. Section 98, subsection 3, recognizes House rule, which means the House have their own rule. If the law expressly recognizes House rule, then you cannot talk about whether that section states on the rankingship. And let me state this. There are laws in our land that are not in our constitution, like in criminal case. Criminal code, Evidence Act, there are a lot of laws that complement that section that talk about criminality. So you cannot say, because it's not expressly stated on rankingship, the Constitution don't recognize the House rule. Section 98, subsection 3 of the same Constitution recognize it. The bottom line is, at the end of the day, I'm even happy they went to court, because this will be something that will enrich our jurisprudence, because section 4, 5, 6 of the Nigerian Constitution equally recognize the power of each arm of government, which means to double, for our judiciary to double into House rule, whether setting is aside, will amount to infiltration of other arms of government of the way they are doing it. You will know that in judicial system, judicial arm of government, there are rules that are pertaining to judicial officer alone. That is no violation of the Constitution or their fundamental rights. When you sign for a particular institution, you already sign for the rule of such an institution, as long as the rule is not in violation of our law. And I said this without fear of favor, that section they are quoting is not in violation of any law of our land. And I hope this will be given a judicial scrutiny that it deserves, and promptly too, so that we will not have a loophole on the House of Assembly.
Okay, so before we come back to Mr. Bamiji, my producers have just sent, done sort of a fact checking, and I also have Section 98 of the Constitution here, and it is talking about, except as otherwise provided by this Constitution, any question proposed for decision in the House of Assembly shall be determined by the required majority of the members present and voting, and the presiding person shall cast a vote whenever necessary to avoid an equality of votes. The
opening section, please.
That's what I just read. Now, subsection 3 provides that the House of Assembly shall, by its rules, provide that a member of the House shall declare any direct pecuniary interest he may have.
It's true.
In any
that is what I want to pick out from that section.
Mr. Saka, now, saying by its rules, when you read down the provisions, it does not mention speakership, although it does recognize the standing rules of the House of Assembly.
That is what I want to hear.
Yeah, so now let's
have a standing rule recognized by the law of the land.
So let's get back to it. Now, what is your interpretation of this? The House does have a standing rules, a set of rules recognized by the Constitution. Although there are arguments that talking about fundamental human rights, Section 92(1) does negate House Rule number 4. But now that the Constitution recognizes the rule, do you see an impasse there?
For me, Mr. Waheed has also mentioned he has buttressed some of the point I raised earlier, which tends to advance the fact that the House rules, as it were, are not necessarily, from all intent and purpose, that they are not superior to the laws of the land. He has mentioned that The House rules, because no law stands alone, some other laws are made to complement. Complementary, he said, if I get him right, that some laws are just complementary to the main law, which is the Constitution, the grand norm. He also cited the issue of our guys in the United States of America, where we tend to copy most of our democratic issues or principles from, and that is to advance the cause of congressional stability. So he put it. To me, those are points that to me buttress my own earlier position that the House can have rules. The House can have rules, but that those rules are just merely to the extent of advancing stability in the House. It is not to suppress the superiority, or as in a layman word, the seniority of the Constitution of Nigeria. What are we going to say if by any chance all of these PDP members today are first-timers? Are we now going to hire a technical advisor as it is in football circles? Maybe we should go and hire a Westerhouse somewhere who will now be coaching the House. And that is the intent of the Constitution. Just because we want to have a speaker, so because all of them are now first-timers, and so we should just go and hire someone. Like I posited the other time. What if Honorable Kofo-Orola, for instance, is the only ranking member as of today amongst the PDP members who, according to him, are beneficiaries of this seat? So are we still going to make him the speaker in the state just because he's the only ranking member? There are so many other considerations for to look into. And following the model of all laws, which is the Constitution of Nigeria, in this instance.
Okay, so do you think that with or without the standing rules, the ranking members also have a shot at this position of speakership, bar any form of zoning now?
That's what I'm saying. All of them, as at today, by my own understanding, all of them can fight for that post. It is not down to them to sit down. Those who are not interested, so to say, to sit down and bring all variables, political, the law, or what have you, into consideration to the table, and consider or choose or go for the one which best suits them at this time in the 8th Assembly in Osun State. So it is purely down to them.
All right.
It is not for us to say this is the rule. And thank goodness, these members, some of these members have not gone to court. It tells me, that is my own joy. It tells me that we are going to have a very vibrant House of Assembly this time around. Even the will-be speaker to fasten up his bed in advance. Because this is a House of Assembly that is populated majorly by very, very young, vibrant souls. It is not going to be easy to manage them if you don't have a grip in the House. So to me, it tells that we are making this a topical issue in the state. It tells me the kind of House of Assembly we are going to have beginning from June.
Okay, so Mr. Saka, the issue at hand now is the inconsistency, the perceived or alleged inconsistency between the provisions of Rule 4A of the House of Assembly and the 1999 Constitution. You've also cited the Section 98 of the Constitution, but In the event of an inconsistency, in the event of conflict of interest now, we understand that the Constitution takes precedence, and the Constitution, recognizing the House rules, puts all of this in an even more precarious situation. How do you interpret that?
I will tell you there is no inconsistency anywhere. As a matter of fact, you know, why I was listening to my friend, I was laughing that, you see, there is one thing in Yoruba land. When ẹni tó bá fẹ́ jẹ́ oyè kóyè á pa ìtàn kíntàn. Ogúnkógún. Ẹni tó bá fẹ́ jẹ́ ogúnkógún á pa ìtàn kíntàn. Now, what I'm saying in essence is that first, he is making the party look like not in control of their members. That is number one. Number two, he said the governor, who is also the leader of the party, was not aware that some members are going to court. That is making the governor not equally in control of his party member. And the third one is the local standing of the member to go to court.
Are you saying they are not? They don't have the right to approach the court?
That is what I want to explain to you now. Because the court will have to determine anyway. But member-elect are not member of the House of Assembly yet, until they are sworn in on the annual chamber of the House of Assembly. So the court will have to determine their local standing to even take House rule to the court. And finally,
but the same House rule, Mr. Saka, the same House rules will be used on them when they get into the chambers.
That is the law, until set aside by a competent court of law or what do they call it? Or another law of the House of Assembly. You know, when House of Assembly want to bypass their own law, they make exception to it themselves. That is the rule of the House. But let me say this. He said, imagine Honorable Kofor-Ola is the only ranking member in that House. The House will determine whether he's their speaker or is not, based on another parameter of the House. And it will not be about Mr. Governor. And let me equally say this, that this controversy is unnecessary. Because if the party is in control, we will be at the level of the House, and the majority member will fall for whosoever they elect, and will become an issue after that. But because they are not in control, some people are leaking this into public space, and people were agitated that why are we setting House rule? And the unfortunate part, those ranking members that they are hailing along, those new member elects that they are hailing along today will become ranking members someday. Will they still be able to change House rule to favor the ranking member? Because at the end of the day, by next election, if PDP overwhelmingly win again, 25%, 25-1, will they change or 25-4 for ranking member and stuff? Will they still change it to rule? We are going to court to change ranking rule. This is not correct. It's not right. It's not internationally acceptable practice. As a matter of fact, it's not Nigeria nationally acceptable practice, and we should not dabble into such. The important thing for the House of Assembly is to help Mr. Governor achieve his aim, not to go there and fight who become what.
All right.
That is not the way. That is not the intention of those who put House of Assembly as legislative arm of our government.
All right, Mr. Saka. Let's look at party supremacy in this case now, party hierarchy and party zoning. There are reports that the speakership has been zoned to Osun Central. What would have been the case had it been zoned to West or to East, where we don't have a plethora of ranking members, from the majority party? Let's assume that was the case. How would you have interpreted the law?
It is not for us to interpret. It is for the House of Assembly to say this is the lacuna we have in electing our leader. And somebody in the House will move a motion to set aside that clause that has become a lacuna and raise another thing. It's not for public. As a matter of fact, the zoning by the party. It's a private business of the party. It's not ongoing. Remember, there was a time PDP sold the House of Representatives to a particular segment, and they were abused by APC in the National Assembly. That shows you that this thing is not a textbook approach from the party. It is the decision of member-elect to determine who lead them. It is not for you to go to court. It is for you to say, we are equal as member-elect. We need somebody to lead us, and we can negotiate who lead us. Even without rule, rules are made for the people. People are not made for the rule. And rule of the house is tantamount to change when issue that is beyond the control of that rule arises. It's not a major thing to say we are going to court even before the call of the house. So I'm saying this because I know the house should determine the way they are governed, the way they have their leaders. So it's not a party thing. It's not a court thing. It's a legislative thing.
Okay, so let's come back to Mr. Bamiji now. It's getting more interesting, all of the permutations and argument put into consideration. But again, I'm going to ask you, where does the party stand in all of that? I know you want to respond to some of the things you said, but where does the party stand in all of this? He has made some point about what happens going forward if you have a point where all the returning members are all the members are first timers, or would the ranking members agree to have the rules reversed again?
Well, my dear brother and friend, I'm sure it's not, it doesn't have or begin to have a carriage of officers of the law that bring confusion into the system. It's been, because to me, he has contradicted himself in several points he made, that perhaps the members have the right to go to court. In another breath, they should not. They don't have the locus to go to court, and I understand so well that it's not the judge over the case that is pending in court. So he should also not offend the law. It should not begin to offend a lot of prejudice. To begin to tell us that this is what is right, especially something that was already in court. I don't know, even aside those members that are in court by virtue of their election as prospective members of the assembly, if as a stakeholder in the state, maybe Mr. Saka should tell me whether I don't have also the locus to take any matter to court as the case may arise, when such matter borders on my well-being as a stakeholder in the state. But in this way, he has told us that he has also concurred at some points that the members can also go to court, and we should wait for court for the proper interpretation. So we wait, and I hope we allow that to rest at that. And that he has also mentioned that, yes, to achieve some things in the House, members can move a motion to set aside the rules of the same House. This rule we are talking about. I don't know of any precedence by any lawmaking chamber who will go to the chamber and say you want to instantly or instantaneously amend the Constitution of Nigeria. There are steps to be taken. It is only the House rules that the members, the 26ers we have in this case, can just sit and say, because of this or because of that, we are setting aside this or that, so, or the rule, so. That is how cheap, my own word, cheap, my word, the rules are against the Constitution of Nigeria. No member will go to the chamber and say, yes, because we want to achieve this, because we want to make the first timer a speaker, and so we have to amend the section 92, subsection 1 of our Constitution, and so So it be, and the gavel will be moved by the clerk of the house, and the constitution stand amended. It will never happen like that. So the house rule is so flexible, so susceptible to amendments at any point in time. Even if they want to, whenever they want to make any law, there are rules of the house. This outgoing assembly had to hurriedly amend when they wanted to amend the electoral law of the state to pave way for the election, the kangaroo election conducted by the last administration. So the house rule can be amended at any time, which points to the fact that it can never, and never, my word again, that it can never take precedence over the Constitution of Nigeria. So for us as a party, to answer your question, yes, we stand on the law. We stand on what we bring. Ultimately, we bring development to our state. Whatever would support the vision and mission of our governor, Senator Ademola Jackson Nuruddin Adeleke, to move this state forward. Ranking or non-ranking notwithstanding, our concern as a party is to make sure that everybody is given sense of accommodation, sense of belonging in the state, to bring about peace, as it is in the house, where they are having this marriage or arrangement of convenience. My word, again emphasized, that we can also, as a party, do things to make sure that whatever we want to do at this time, especially in the house, also bring peace, understanding, and tranquility to our fold.
All right.
As a family.
All right.
To join hands with the governor.
All right.
The state
all right. Okay. So, but just because of our time, we're wrapping up now. I'll just take Mr. Saka. But if we further look at this, does the fundamental right of Wale Egbedu to run for speakership not get infringed by the House rules? And does the Constitution make provision for anybody's rights to be infringed on? Just in 30 seconds. Mr. Saka, are you with us? Okay.
Yes, I'm with you. This is democracy. Fundamental right for my brother in the studio to be president is recognized. But to be elected depends on this way. If at the end of the day, Egbedu can convince all the members of the house to elect him as the speaker, there's nothing we can do about it as outsider.
Thank you.
But this is not about the changing rule. If as a matter of fact, the more he's talking about conveniency as the house rule, is denigrating the House of Assembly, because that rule is recognized by the Constitution of the land. You don't denigrate the House because you want somebody to be speaker.
All right.
Anybody who is elected have right to say, I want to become what? But it depends on the House.
Okay. Oh, all right.
It depends on the House.
All right.
Now,
That's my point too, Mr. Saka.
To favor somebody.
That's my point too. Or you want to say Mr. Egbedu should not contest just because he's a first-timer? According to the law that you serve, where you serve as officer of the law of the land, you are a lawyer.
He should not twist the law.
How?
He should talk to, by going to court to say they should set that rule.
Is he the one going to court in this instance?
Mr. Saka,
running out of time.
Mr. Saka,
running out of time.
Wale Egbedu is not the one in court.
Yes, not the one in court.
To be clear,
you don't know.
Akinyode.
No,
Mr. Saka.
Does the law recognize the hand of Esau in this case? Or if you are made a magistrate or whatever tomorrow, you will not be judging on the point of hand of Esau? Mr. Saka, don't confuse us. Good morning.
Mr. President, Mr. Governor of Osun is part and parcel of the scheming. Don't make him look like he's not.
And scheming is part of politics.
Yes.
Isn't it?
So thank Thank you for
Even as a right activist, you are. You also scheme. You are even scheming as you are in that vehicle. Are you not?
Are you serious?
Okay, so let's
You are scheming now. Maybe we know ourselves. I know you now. You are scheming already.
Okay, so the two schemers on set this morning. So let's leave it at that, gentlemen. Hopefully we'll revisit this conversation as the matter progresses, especially to see what comes out of the court. But now, to be very clear, two of the aggrieved members-elect, Akinyode Oyewusi of Ife North and Bamidele Lawal Oshogbo, are the ones who have instituted that
I take exception to being aggrieved. They are not aggrieved.
Okay,
in fact, we even have to praise them. They are only seeking for.
Gentlemen, we don't have the time. Gentlemen, we don't have the time. We don't have the time. We'll come back to revisit this issue and hopefully have both of you on set. But thank you very much, Mr. Oladele Bamiji, SSA to the governor, and of course, media director of the People's Democratic Party. Thank you for your time.
Thank you for having me today. Thank you.
Mr. Wahid Sakai is a right activist and political commentator. Thank you for your time also on the show this morning.
God bless WSTV.
All right, well, that's where we end the show. These two men have eaten into my time, so I won't be coming back to give you what's trending. Or I may come back to give you one or two stories, But do stay with us. I'll be back after this break. Temitope has to go enjoy our public holiday.
Ajijala Oluwola is my name. Thanks for joining us this morning.